This here is starting to look a little bit like we might be getting some kind of short squeeze bull trap in there today as we look through some of the technical analysis for the SPY Qs, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, NVIDIA, AMD, and Meta. Looking over at AMC and GME, AMC did a very good thing today, so I'd pay attention towards the end of the video because after AMC and GME, we're also going to talk about the dollar and volatility, some big stuff happening with the dollar, and that is why we are leaning towards, hey, this could be some kind of bull trap. But maybe we end up reversing back around, right? We want to keep everything in mind, but right now we do see some of those bull trap signals that say we could get some kind of rug pull by the end of the week, and that's why we need to pay attention. Let's get into it. Starting off with the SPY, you notice that we have a 2-hour up and something pretty cool happened down here, but we need to give you those daily expected moves for tomorrow. We do have 551.36 to the upside, and we do have 541.46 to the downside. Notice that we left behind a little bit of a gap here, but we were able to turn up on that 2-hour chart. If we wanted to briefly go down to that level, that would make sense. That would be making a stronger base. Now, today we were talking a lot about, are we going to curl over on this 30-minute to make the stronger base? Did that curl over yet? No. So the most likely thing to happen for tomorrow is going to be positivity until we see that roll down and confirm that momentum has shifted to the downside. Maybe we can go fill a gap if we want to make that stronger base before we get some big news with CPI. But right now it looks like the direction is up. We have a 2-hour crossing up, so we're going to pay attention to it. Now, if we're going to just head higher for a brief moment, maybe this MACD does trail itself up a little bit, and then by Wednesday, we actually get some info that drops us back down. We're looking for a reversal signal here. There were no reversal signals in here. We just used NVIDIA. That's why we were able to call this. We used NVIDIA's reversal signal to say, hey, that could produce some kind of pop, and that's exactly what ended up happening. So very, very cool there. But is this 2-hour just going to go up for a day and then we see some kind of rug pull at the end of the day? That's going to be meaningful. Just note that we did come above that daily expected move and then we landed directly on it by the close. So we'll be looking at that topside weekly expected move as the signals look bullish at this moment. But we always have to be aware of that 30-minute, okay? Last time, that 30-minute, if that just rolls over tomorrow, we could go down and create that stronger base first, or we don't even have to create that stronger base. This could be bad, but if it would turn around at this level, you would have a reversal signal. Okay, so we're paying attention to the right things. I'm still leaning towards, hey, some kind of 2-hour trap. We're going to get into the dollar in a little bit after we go through some of the stocks that we're covering today. That way we can show you why this looks like some kind of rug pull is coming, like some kind of bull trap is being set here. Yes, we called the upside move, but we immediately start to think a little bit into the future like we do, and now it's starting to look like any kind of upside. It looks like there might be some selling behind the curtain. The Qs, you're just going to notice what? Ooh, we did cross up just barely. If I really zoom in on that, you're going to see that green bar get bigger and bigger. So we did curl up on that 2-hour. Now, it was at the end of the day, so keep that in mind. Take that with a grain of salt, but for the time being, it's not the best cross up, but it is a cross up, right? So we are holding below that monthly expected move. We reacted up to the daily expected move that held as resistance, and we remained up there for the entire day. What you were paying attention to throughout your day was that 30-minute rolling over into negative territory. You're still paying attention to that on both the SPY and the Qs as of tomorrow morning. Now you need some moves for tomorrow. So 460.15 to the upside, and we do have 448.77 to the downside. Sorry about that. But the 2-hour has crossed up. So what should we believe? Hey, there should be positivity. That is the most likely thing to happen as of tomorrow. The bigger time frame is turning up. Now, the way that we know if this thing is just going to go nuts and start to see extreme upside is if the daily is able to cross back up. You notice that would only take a couple of days, and Wednesday is going to be a big deal. Not only do you get GameStop earnings Tuesday night, you also have the debate Tuesday night, and then Wednesday morning we actually get CPI. So that's all going to be things. Very important day of the week is going to be Wednesday. So if we know that Wednesday is an important day, and then we see that on Wednesday, maybe we go up to this level, then we need to be paying attention for reversal signals at this level. We need to be paying attention to the fact that there's a 68% chance to land down if we get above that level. We need to be paying attention to that on Tuesday. If we rock it up like this, well, we need to pay attention because that could end up back down in these areas by the end of the day, and we're seeing some of that rig behavior. We're going to show you that after we cover the stocks that we normally cover on this channel, so stick around, please. We say this all the time. People come into my live chat every single day and they say, oh, well, you said this. Yes, that's how I know you didn't watch the whole video, because sometimes further on in the video, we do talk about the dollar and things like that, and that can give you a hint of something you need to be aware of. All right, so that's just a little note. If you're someone who just watches what your particular stock is doing, it's good to pay attention to the SPY and the Qs, even if you aren't trading them. It is good to pay attention to volatility, even if you aren't trading it. It is good to pay attention to the dollar to see those rigged moves. And we're going to talk about the PCC in a little bit as well. As of right now, for the Qs, just to give that quick summary, 2 hours says upside. That's the most probable move. We know that the dollar is increasing, so someone is selling behind the tape, and we need to pay attention to any time that starts to rug pull, and that could start right away with a 30-minute crossover in the morning. So we have to be paying attention to a 30-minute, even though the 2 hour looks strong here. Apple is doing something that we talked about, right? We talked about this live. We talked about this in the YouTube video last night. We talked about this over and over and over again, and that is the signal that can turn up this 2 hour, and it looks like that signal is here. Okay, so we see this now, and we actually got a triple one, right? So we got this, and we said pay attention anytime that curls up, because that could mean some positivity is coming in. Looks like it's going to break out, falls flat, looks like it's going to break out again, and it was able to curl up at the end of the day with another point of divergence. If I really show you the RSI here, you see how all of this is in the upward, and I can't even make it up enough to get to that, right? It's all up while the price action is down. That is divergence on the 30-minute, and you even got a triple one for another little scale-in opportunity. This tells you the most likely thing that's going to happen tomorrow early on in the day is this 2 hour is going to curl up, and we're going to see some kind of reaction. But are we going to be able to break through 225? 225.84, that is, because that's a pretty good resistance at this point, and we really broke through it, and we've seen some wicks up towards it. So are we going to get that reaction that leads to, oh yes, we broke through it, and then we fall flat? I think that would be an interesting look. Like I was saying, this does have a divergence on the RSI, but not on the MACD at the same time at these levels. So that tells me for the 2 hour, I need to be paying attention to if that is going to go make a stronger base, or if this is some kind of trap, as we're seeing the dollar exceed and really bottom out last week like we said it would. And that is really, really telling us, hey, we got to be paying attention, because this means we could be seeing some kind of moment that says, hey, everyone's getting bullish, and then we just turn right back down. So let's pay attention to it. But Apple forming that 30-minute divergence signal we were talking about, very cool trade setup. And thank you so much if you're subscribed, if you actually were able to follow this signal well. I really do appreciate how people were talking about it with me in the live chat. And I think that the overall take in the live chat was, hey, this could be a bad thing, but if the 30-minute does turn back up, you have yourself a reversal signal. So a little bit different from yesterday's video. Now we're seeing a few reversal signals saying 2 hours can start to pop. As we get into Tesla, we noticed that that 2 hour did curl up, and we're starting to consolidate. Are we going to see that next breakout moment? And the key thing is this as we see on Tesla, we were talking about the 30-minute curling up, and notice that we did get that little tag of this zone here on Friday and gap up from that zone. I told you there were buyers lying in this zone, and now we've kind of been consolidating throughout the day. Are we going to get that breakout early on in the morning? Well, something that can help us to see if this thing is overall thinking it's pretty positive, because easily that 30-minute could roll down. That's kind of your bearish scenario to pay attention to. That is the signal to pay attention to. The 2 hour curl up, that did not curl up at this moment. You do still have that reversal signal holding firm, okay? So unless that 2 hour is able to get that big strength, then you probably won't see a big move from Tesla. But once that does cross over, if we see a big move, get above this moving average, we can head back up towards our sell zone. That's very important to understand. Also, at the same time, I think a good chart to be paying attention to would be the hourly, because the hourly can go set up that divergence for this one if we go a little bit higher, but it can also tell you, hey, if that thing crosses back down, that's going to react a little bit earlier than the 2 hours. So I think an hourly would be a good one to watch. If that thing rolls up and just rolls right back down, that's what I'd be paying attention to for a Tesla. And just a quick note, the CPI does come out before market hours, just so you are aware and ready for that. Amazon on the 30-minute had a gap up as well, and you're noticing what the rejection here. So you look like you were going to cross down, and then you reject and you turn right back up. So this consolidation, if we're able to break through, looks like an extended move from the 30-minute might be coming. Was the 2 hour able to curl up? It was. So a 2 hour move does make sense. That's probably why we're seeing continued positivity going into the post market here. So we'll pay attention to this in the morning. For now, there's not a ton of great signals here, I would say. I would more so say it looks like we're kind kind of piling up in this area, this bigger overall area, and we're starting to see bigger moves, right? So we know volatility is here. We know the 2 hours curled up. So that tells me, hey, positivity is the most likely option. Pay attention to the 30-minute if that rolls down early on in the day. But I'd be just paying attention to Amazon, seeing if that 2 hour goes up to a weekly expected move, and then we'll pay attention at those levels. Amazon not showing the absolute best trade setups in the world for our 30-minute and 2 hour charts, not really giving the best reversal signals at this point. But a curl up near the center line is always a reversal signal you want to pay attention to. This could mean prolonged positivity going into a positive trend, right? Not everything has to add up to rug pull at this point. We can still see positivity for quite some time and see that still take place. NVIDIA was the big one because we were paying attention to it. This was the big reason we were leaning towards positivity in the market today, and that was because of NVIDIA's signals. It gave us a reversal signal. It gave us the 30-minute divergence, and NVIDIA is such a heavy weight that that thing does matter. And we ended up closing towards the top of our zone. Maybe we're able to break out later. This is a buyer zone at this point, right? We can use it as support. We've tried to hold up at it, We break down, we go to the bottom of it, and now we start to scale up, curling up, confirming the divergence down here on the MACD, on the RSI at the same time. Both of those pointing up while the price action is down. That is divergence, and if that 2 hour curls up, it means it's probably a good one. That 2 hour did curl up right here early on in the day, right away in the day, and boom, to the upside. So this is a trade I'm currently in at this moment, looking for some kind of positive move up to maybe a weekly expected move, and then we'll see what happens from there. As of right now, you got a bunch of curlovers, right? This has more green bars, so you do have that opportunity to get really close to that center line, and then if we see some kind of drop off, we can pay attention to, is that creating some kind of divergence at this point? That's what I would be paying attention to, because that could lead into September 18th, which is the Fed interest rate decision. So I would be marking off September 18th on your charts, because that's going to be an important date. If you can't remember, it's good to mark those dates off on your charts. But for NVIDIA going forward, if this is going to be continued positivity, let's say we do not go make that divergence by September 18th, well, then we're going to see the daily scale turn up. The reason I'm going to talk about this is just because we're seeing some interesting behavior from Bitcoin. Bitcoin really bottoming out here. If that thing curls up, it does have divergence on both the MACD and RSI at the same time. So this is what we were paying attention to. And remember, we actually mentioned when this thing crossed back over, look for a divergence which touches this zone. And that's exactly what's ended up happening here. Now, this hasn't confirmed, but it tells me, hey, people are putting some money out of cash actually and going into some assets. So I need to be paying attention to NVIDIA. If that daily MACD is able to cross, we could break through and see some good things. We also could see a time where we really coil up and then start to head higher. But for now, we just have to pay attention to the shorter time frames and see, is this 2 hour going to go up, and then see that start to fade, see that curl down to at least make a stronger base. But you guys know on this channel, how do we treat it if that MACD does curl down in negative territory? As a bad thing, really, really bad. But if it made a divergence, then we know what trade to look for going forward with NVIDIA. AMD pretty much trying to be NVIDIA with the 30-minute signal. You had the flat divergence almost down a little bit on the MACD, and you had this flat divergence almost a little bit down on the RSI. So trying so hard to make the signal that NVIDIA did, and it actually still played out just like NVIDIA. So very, very good here from AMD, able to curl up the 2 hour chart. Still paying attention. If that's going to be a prolonged move, then the daily scale is going to be able to turn up. That is most likely what will take place if we're going to see this extend further. For right now, what are we paying attention to? The fact that this is not that strong of a base, you just have a very flat, if not down, divergence, so not a divergence, or it might be a flat one on your RSI down here. So that tells me this most likely will be some kind of lower high. Okay, now we're open to anything, but I'm just saying the most probable thing here is that we'll make some kind of lower high. So I'm paying attention closely to it. We can see if that upside comes, and then see if that's able to drop back off with some rigged behavior that we're going to talk about in a little bit. That's pretty much all you have to pay attention to for AMD going forward. As we switch over to Meta, we just noticed that this thing has not curled up on that 2 hour yet, still kind of flaggy in this area. So it would make sense sense for something like Meta to want to go make that stronger base. Now, this is looking a little bit like Tesla, so if this consolidation does break through, we can see more upside, go positive. Maybe we see a little bit bigger move here. If we're going to dip down, then that MACD is going to curl down and create that stronger base, or maybe not. So we have to treat this as this is bad, but if it does turn around, we know how to react. And that's overall how we do things. We trade like water. We know there's rocks in the stream. We know how to manage our trades because we've taken those courses that are down in the description. You can get both courses right now still for $150. That's going to go until CPI day. And then we're going to be up in that price. So it is pretty much the last 48 hours to get those courses at 90% off. You can get both swing trading and using technical indicators. I highly encourage the using technical indicators because it will really teach you how to become a good trader, how to manage your trades very closely, and teach you how to find things like divergence and use those weekly ranges. So for Meta, pay attention to a 30-minute crossing down, but pay attention also if that 2-hour crosses up. It's not too far away from the center line, but it is far enough away that a lower high is the most likely scenario here. So I'd be paying attention to, if you're a Patreon member down in the description, to that weekly expected move that we do give you. Now it's time for the fun stuff, and that would be AMC and GME. And I just want you to pay attention mainly to one signal. Obviously, we know if 2 hours rotate down, not the moment. Obviously, we know if the 30-minute rotates down, not the moment. So this would be saying technically not the moment just yet. It's saying 30-minute pullback is the most likely scenario. What you're looking for here is a 30-minute that turns back up. That's what you're looking for here. But if you went with the main signal that actually did confirm today, then you're right on. The daily scale has turned up. You have a swing trade. You are above the 200. So this is a very simple swing trade at this point. It tells you that over the next couple of weeks, AMC has a higher probability to be at a higher price point than this than a lower one. Okay. It means that you will most likely see a higher price than what you got today than what you have gotten in the past. So that means we need to break above this level. Obviously, if we need to break above a key level to see a gamma squeeze, what level is that? For this week, that's 556. We update this every single Sunday for you so you can see it, you can mark it on your charts, and you know, hey, if I get above that level, I'm seeing something unexpected, I'm seeing something crazy. As we switch over to something like GME, this thing is cool just because of a different thing. It's already curled up, it has a divergence on the MACD, not on the RSI at the same time, so this all could just be some kind of bounce. But the cool part about this MACD is it's starting to go positive. Once you go positive, that's when more positivity usually comes in. So that is what I would be paying attention to for GME. These signals look really, really good for these stocks, and don't let anyone tell you different because these signals do look good. When it would look bad is if this 2-hour divergence did confirm. Okay, this is overall looking like a double top possibly. You don't have it on the MACD and RSI at the same time, which means we could experience a 2-hour pullback with earnings and then see if that leads to more upside. Here's the thing about short sellers, about market makers. When you do have something like earnings, it is a very obvious thing. Now, earnings can lead to gamma squeezes because they could announce something that's completely unexpected, which is a good thing. But if the market maker expects volatility around earnings, then they easily could just know, hey, we need to clamp down on this week. We also do see that on the 30-minute proven there. So you see that is a downward direction here for that MACD. You see that that is overall down for that RSI, and it has crossed down. So the most likely thing for GameStop going into tomorrow is actually to pull back. Kind of like AMC. The most likely thing is to pull back, and we'll see if that can turn back up into positive territory. That could be a good hint that a big move is coming as those daily scales are turning up, as AMC is turning up that daily scale as well. So let's pay attention to that. Let's get into some rigged behavior happening though behind the curtain. So the things that we look for as far as rigged behavior goes is the dollar. Is the dollar higher while the market is higher? And the answer is yes. That can lead us to believe that there are some insiders dramatically selling while the market is actually going up. They're getting out of those positions. Maybe we're falsely shooting the market up so they can get out of those positions while retail buys it. And that's overall what happens when the dollar is going up and the stock market is going up at the same time. Now, the only thing we need here to note is, do we have people dramatically going to the call side? Since the market is up and the dollar's up at the same time, well, we need people getting very, very bullish to see a rug pull. Are we seeing that? Well, we can check the PCC, and at this moment, we see the PCC at about 1.12. So that means that most people have puts, which is why I'm overall leaning towards, hey, we could see some kind of mini short squeeze that ends up being a bull trap. All right, you see how the dollar is higher. The market is higher. That's 2. But you need the third thing. You overall usually need people to really believe that this market can't go down anymore and it's going to see upside. Maybe they're going to get into some positions before CPI. Maybe CPI is going to cause some of that upside. So we have to be paying attention to it. It doesn't mean CPI has to be a bad thing. It doesn't mean these things have to curl down. It just tells me, hey, watch out, because we have 2 of the 3 items we need to see some kind of rug pull. And if this just flips and gets down to this area at some point tomorrow, well, you might see something crazy at the end of the day or at the open on Wednesday. So I'd be paying close attention to that. Volatility has still remained up by 20. This has not broken down completely, which is very interesting, because that tells me I need to be aware if that 2-hour turns up tomorrow, because this is bottling up. And if this bottles up, that means some kind of big move is coming. Now, we said 2-hour pulling back, so that was another tick for, hey, this is most likely going to be some kind of positivity. Now, is the daily scale rolled over yet? No, it is not. Now, if the daily scale is able to roll over, that could tell us we're going to experience a squeeze. But could that squeeze only last a few days that then tests the 200 and we see another move off that? So what we're looking for here, because we do have the crash signal there confirmed with the 50 crossing the 200 and we're remaining above the 200, that is a crash signal. If this does cross down and cross through that 200, you might see even a little bit more of that squeeze going forward. So this is just something to pay attention to, but you need to note that the crash signal is still holding. So even if we do keep pulling down, we have to be aware of any kind of reaction that could come in the near future. Let's zoom into a 30-minute just to see what volatility is looking like going into tomorrow. And you're noticing it's struggling to curl up and it's rejecting as of right now. So that 2-hour momentum still taking over, and we'll see if that daily is able to cross tomorrow. Overall, the main takeaway here, guys, is we're seeing some signals that could lead to some kind of short squeeze, but we're also seeing the rug pull signals at the same time. So I think we might bait people into stocks at higher levels, get some kind of pump going, and then we actually might see that subside. But obviously we are, we trade like water on this channel, so we will be watching the price action as it develops, and we are more than happy to change our take. We just follow the signals. We let the signals do all the work. We just click the buttons. Thank you guys so much for joining today. I really do appreciate it. I hope you guys have had a great day so far. I'm sorry that I couldn't come live for the end of the day. That's very unfortunate I couldn't, but life happens, stuff happens. I kind of ran out of time. So I'm going to try my best to set aside some time tomorrow for a live stream at the end of the day, as well as obviously our morning stream. So please come join us if you're new here. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a great night. Peace.